All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Old Reader, New Reader. I am joined once again with one of my best friends, Phil, a.k.a. Shazam the Jam, who I'm just going to keep inviting every month, I guess.
As long as you'll have me.
So welcome back. As usual, all of Phil's info is there in the description. Let me know if I'm being too loud, by the way. I never know if this is too close or far away from my face, this microphone. So, but anyways.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, cool. So, once again, we have chosen another Phil's recommendations, which are always good.
So far.
And if you are new to watching this and seeing Phil, you should follow Phil on Twitch at his handle, Shazam to Jam, because I guarantee you'll have a good time.
Oh.
Yeah. And you can see by the background behind him, he has great interests. So.
Yes, this is my stream background. This is my plushie kingdom here.
I absolutely love it. And at the end of the show, when we get to, free time with the chat, I'll show you some of his wonderful Pokémon Snap pictures he's taken that he's added some interesting quotes to. So, because I've been enjoying them, I need to share.
Oh, you're so nice to me.
Because I mean it, Phil. I may be bad at keeping up friendships in real life because I'm bad at responding to messages. But when I see someone in person or through the screen, I'm like, nothing's changed. All of my love and adoration is at the same exact level. So, we are here to talk about Batman Face the Face, which is a hard title to say out loud because I always want to say Face to Face and not Face the Face.
Yeah, like I genuinely thought when I was trying to remember it, I was like, yeah, Face to Face. And I was like, no, something's off about that.
And why didn't they call it that after there's it's literally two faces in it? Why not call it Face to Face?
I don't know if they want to be as on the nose.
That's a mistake.
If I could turn back time.
So for those watching who maybe haven't read it, this happened in 2006. It was it's part of the 1 year later event. It's written by James Robinson, illustrated by Don Kramer. And it's a back and forth between Detective Comics and Batman. So it features Detective Comics issues 817 to 820 and Batman issues 651 to 654. You can buy it as a deluxe, which I think I uploaded a picture of. But nope, I was too busy uploading pictures of Lee and Harper. Never mind.
Priorities!
I was too excited to tell you about Lee and Harper. I was like, forget uploading a picture of the book we're talking about. I have other things that are important. So yeah, this is right after Infinite Crisis, right?
Yes, right after Infinite Crisis, the 1 year later time skip. And this arc is right before Grant Morrison takes over Batman. Mm-hmm. So it kind of gets overshadowed, looking back sometimes. And Paul Dini taking over Detective Comics, which is an amazing run that's not talked about a lot.
I need to read it because I love
it's
Paul.
So good.
And honestly, I love any Detective Comics. After reading Detective Comics Rebirth, I just want to read Detective Comics all the time.
Yeah, Detective Comics, since it's not the flagship book, it could really dive into either some good detective stories or just some good character-driven stories. And that's what I like about that book.
Yeah. And that's what I liked about this, because we are presented again, I have limited knowledge of what surrounds this, although I did read Infinite Crisis. I've got that big-ass omnibus in my basement that could murder someone with. Really.
Some omnibuses, if someone ever broke in, I would be like, do you want to get, hit with the new 52? You want post-crisis? How you want to go down?
It's those DC ones. They're just huge. It's stupid. And honestly, everyone buys them, and I do too. But I'm like, is this a better way to read it? Probably not. It's just huge.
I'm scared of omnibus sometimes because I'm like, if you have an omnibus with a bad spine, oh my God.
Oh
I
yeah. I cannot tell you how many posts are in like the omnibus collectors community about like, okay, my spine's messed up. How do I fix it? What glue do I use? Like, I found myself in a very odd side of the internet. So, this takes place in Gotham after the missing year, after Infinite Crisis. So, like, Batman's been gone for a year. And uh, good old Commissioner Gordon's back, and he is stoked that Batman's back. You know, Poison Ivy's causing a stir, doing her thing. He's like, we're going to go up to the roof. We're going to turn the bat signal. And he's stoked about it, which now when I see Commissioner Gordon, I just think about the Harley Quinn animated series with Commissioner Gordon. I can't think about the regular one anymore. I just see this drunken mess who has no friends, but Batman's his favorite friend.
I mean, that show's kind of like ruined Bane for me in the best of ways. So,
so good. So good. Last time I talked about that show, I think I cried online or on air because it's just thinking about it makes me laugh. So yeah, they come back in town. Batman's back with Tim Drake, which is why I assume you chose this story.
No, but it's a bonus.
And looks like Harvey Dent has been like secret Batman vigilante while Batman's gone, which is not what I was expecting.
Yeah, while Batman was gone, he was that man. So
that man.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have got that's what they should have called him the whole time. That's really good. That's really good. See, I feel like the writers now are like, man, we fucked up.
It's like, is that Batman? I was like, no, it's that man.
Put on some sunglasses. Like so like long story short, and we'll get into it, but they come back to town, some things happen, and there's some deaths, murders of some other supervillains that looks like it could be tied back to Harvey Dent, aka Toothface. Oh my god. And so they got to deal with that basically, while also Batman's dealing with some like fatherly thoughts. Oh my god, Siri, I'm not talking to you.
Siri is the new reader, by the way.
Yeah. While also he's dealing with some stuff with Tim Drake. So really thinking about like, because Tim Drake's dad's dad from Captain Boomerang, which what a lame way to go. You know, what a bummer for Tim Drake's dad.
Not dying, the who took him out.
Yeah.
He's like, you telling me it wasn't the Joker? Bruh, your dad's whack.
Got Captain Boomerang? How lame.
Hey, you got taken out by a whole captain.
Did he really make a whole... Boy, that's not enough to see this nose scrunch. $5? Come on. I like he made a whole count called Mace nose scrunch. That's really funny. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat, though. Yeah, so that's like the quick summary. But of course there will be spoilers. Let's get into it.
Okay. So one thing that I like about it, just to kind of paint the picture of like Batman books back then, like Infinite Crisis, when that was going on, you had like under the hood stuff going on. So that was fantastic. But like Batman was just so standoffish with, you know, things that was happening with the Justice League. And, you know, Batman did such a good job of pushing a lot of his allies away. And the purpose, sorry if you hear geese outside, they are loud.
It's okay.
But like the purpose of Batman going away, like he took Nightwing and Robin with him, that this kind of reprioritize what he was really doing. Like we know Batman has the mission, and I patrol Gotham City, but somewhere along the way he kind of lost himself, and it was kind of just him discovering himself as Bruce Wayne again and as Batman. So you see this team after they've been gone for a year, and you don't see Nightwing because Nightwing was busy having a horrible 1 year later arc. um, but but like you see this team, like they're happy to be back. Like Batman's not smiling, but you see like a little bit of warmth in him. Like he's the same brooding guy, but you see he's willing to let people be closer and hold himself accountable for some actions that he may intentionally be doing or unknowingly doing. So it's a Batman that respects his partners. Like Robin,
absolutely.
yeah, like Robin isn't treated as like a sidekick. Robin is treated as his equal partner. And due to him letting Tim get close to him, the way that they just communicate in the book without actually verbally communicating sometimes, like the art does a great job of just showing the trust that they have with one another. And like it gives me throwbacks to like original Batman animated series, like where Batman had a lot of compassion in him and a lot of warmth, but when it came time to bad guys, he was like, "Yeah, I'm Batman." But so Batman's trying to like play catch up because a year is a long time to be gone in Gotham City.
Oh yeah. Well, and by the time they put the thing up in the air, literally people start to cheer in the street, the honk, which I thought was great.
Yeah, because he had like, you take Nightwing, you take Robin, and Cassandra Cain was Batgirl at the time, but they were in the process of assassinating her character temporarily. So I'm not wrong. So there was like no one to really like lead Gotham, and one of the things that was so unique about that story was, who do you leave to Gotham? And you left it to Harvey Dent, who was basically, I don't want to say cured of being Two-Faced, but his face got repaired. He was Harvey Dent, and the therapy was working, and he was just back to Harvey Dent. And Batman left this city to him because deep down, Batman, like Harvey Dent, is like one of Batman's big failures in his heart. This was a man that was doing everything for the city, and this was like he was rooting for him basically, and he got too close to Batman, and there was consequences for being an open target versus Batman being able to hide. So it was a way for Harvey to redeem himself. And, we had Tim, and it was just so good to see Batman and Robin books. Because to this day, you don't get a lot of just simple Batman and Robin teaming up.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I don't think I've ever actually read one besides this. Now I know I have Batman and Robin, the omnibus, by Tomasi downstairs. I'm going to read that. But like, I feel like this is the first time I really read that. And actually, it's the first time I've gotten to read a story with Tim as actual Robin. And not like doing his own thing or part of a group or being Red Robin. This, for me, this is the only time I've read this. Like, getting to see Tim this way.
Yeah, and if I think about it, it's like reading Tim for so long, you got those stories with like Tim and Batman, but one thing, like Tim was so popular when he came out that he had a lot more, like he had his own solo book. So if you wanted to see a lot of Robin, you got your Robin kick, but you got more like Batman and Robin team ups during like the infinite amount of crossovers they did, but you got less and less just like simple stories of just them teaming up and kind of playing off of each other. And it was just nice just to see that. You ironically, you see it more with Batman and Nightwing. Like, they team up a lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I feel like I see them together a lot.
Yeah.
And I've seen Damian, not by reading. I know, hey, it's there. It's I have a week vacation in June. I think my goal is to do some nice reading outside and catch up on some stuff. Because that omnibus is beautiful.
Omnibuses are intimidating sometimes because of their size.
I get it. That's true. Maybe that's part of it. But like, I've seen Damien in other like the animated films and stuff like that. So like I see them together, but I've never really gotten to see Tim. And so getting to see them do their thing together and how they work together was great. And also seeing them through Harvey's eyes.
Yeah.
Was also great because something I really liked in this was the monologues throughout Harvey's and Bruce's. Both of them, I think, were really insightful. And like you said before about seeing Bruce be more personable, be more vulnerable, really getting to see him, like, his thought process and caring about Tim and caring about Harvey. I loved all of that throughout. And I think there's more of that because I like seeing people really take time to think about who Bruce is instead of just like Batman beating him up.
Yeah.
Batman being sad. It was Batman really thinking through things. And the fact that he trusts enough in Harvey, I thought was really sweet. It was just a really and Harvey himself was like, wait, no. Are you sure? There's other people. And he's like, no, I trust you the most.
Yeah, Harvey literally listed all the people over there too.
Even Ragman, I was like, come on. He's like, I know that you were sick. You were sick then. I don't attribute that to you. That part when you were Two-Face. I keep saying Two-Face. But at the time when you were before, it was just you. You fought for justice. You fought for these things. I know that you can do it. And then he trained him for a month. This guy who did not have training, he's like, no, we're gonna make it happen. And I'm gonna hop off for a year. And it was beautiful and so sad. All the things with Harvey. Because you can tell he really came into his own with that. And to have even a little bit of a doubt, he was so fragile still.
Yeah.
That even that little bit of a doubt was too much for him to take. And it's so sad.
Yeah, because evidence is being put against Harvey because while Batman and Robin are back, these lesser known villains are being killed off with evidence being left to believe that it's Harvey Dent going back to his Two-Face ways. And Batman has to confront him. But he tries to do it in the form of a conversation. But the little bit of doubt, because Harvey Dent was just so fragile because, Batman and Robin are back. And Batman literally tells him, you're done. Which is probably not the way to handle it.
Yeah, no. And Bruce has never been great about that. Yeah, because they show up and they're like, okay, we're fighting crime together now. Again, we're here to save the world. They're happy about us. And Harvey's like, wait a second. You can't just give me this for a year and then just take it away. Well, I don't have anything. I have nothing else. All my self-esteem, all of my confidence, all of me making up for my crimes is built on this.
Yep.
Being Batman's vigilante while he's gone. And you're just like, peace. And even the Two-Face part of his head is like, yeah, he trusted you, but did Batman ask you to fight crime with him? He's like, oh man, no. Just once.
And that's what I love about when people get Batman right, because everyone tries to make Batman this perfectionist, or the infamous, if I had prep time I would kind of thing. And I think the best stories really make Batman vulnerable and show that Batman can make mistakes.
Yeah.
And no matter how big or small, those mistakes come back. And this story just really gets the heart of what makes some of these famous Gotham City characters tick.
Oh yeah. Especially since of course Batman's very intelligent. Absolutely. He's a fantastic detective. but he's not emotionally intelligent. And I think that's like, I like when people focus on that. It doesn't mean he's devoid of emotion. He has very strong feelings of love and appreciation towards the people he cares about. Selena, Harvey, Alfred, the boys. He cares about them, but it doesn't mean he knows what to do.
Yeah.
Like I saw, I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree, which is fine. But I saw this person on TikTok was talking about Batman, and they're an autistic person, and they're like, they see a lot of autistic traits in Batman, and they described it because like the way that he doesn't really get the right way to do things, and also leaving conversations abruptly. And I was like, yeah, I can see it.
Honestly,
that makes sense, honestly, because like he doesn't always understand how to keep those relationships going or the right thing to say. Even when talking to Tim later, he's like, "So your dad's dead." And Alfred's like, "Maybe that's not." What are we?
Like Alfred literally had to help him have like a serious, not Batman conversation, but a serious Bruce Wayne, Tim Drake conversation.
Right, because like I'll never forget that part of Rebirth where they had that like flashback where he met Wonder Woman and Superman, and Wonder Woman gave him the lasso, and she's like, "Tell me who you are," and Batman says Batman, and Superman says Clark Kent, which I think is the beautiful scene.
Panel. Yeah,
but the most possible telling thing, because Bruce is Batman, and Bruce is just his mask. That's his real, like that's his fake self. Batman is him all the time. There's a reason he keeps the mask on when he's like fooling around with Catwoman, because that's himself.
It makes him feel powerful, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of dimensions, is this book the first post-crisis instance of Poison Ivy becoming less of a villain and more dimensional? I think you could speak more to that than me.
I would say from post-Infinite Crisis, this was kind of like a start of really diving into Poison Ivy less as a villain. Because one thing I really like with the book, they really took the time to sympathize with her. Commissioner Gordon was like, if she wasn't going about it this way, I would be rooting for her. And, you know, Batman didn't come in to like, you know, do the shadowy Batman jump on her and, you know, rough her up. Like he sympathized with her. But he was just like, the way you're going about this is just the wrong way. And honestly, between this and then I feel like Paul Dini had another Poison Ivy story that really followed up on it. I would say this was kind of the start of like the Poison Ivy that really started to grow and become her own character. And
yeah, this was good to see.
Yeah, like that's what I love, like revisiting this book. That's what I loved about it. It's just Batman really took the time to reason with her. And yes, he was stalling. I get that he was stalling so that Robin can do his thing.
Yeah.
But even, you know, when that goal was achieved, it wasn't one of those things where it's like you're going back to Arkham or something like that. It was there was compassion with it. And one thing I gotta say about that whole opening with like the Poison Ivy, I love that the story splits up. Like Batman and Robin have their brief conversation, like basically like this is the plan, you got it, and Robin does literally just thumbs up, and the art splits the story in half, and it shows Batman proceeding to his goal and Robin proceeding to his goal on every page, and you get the scenes of like the multiple silhouettes of them dodging
that
stuff.
Was so good.
And you know, comics don't use that enough. Like Tom Taylor's run in Nightwing, it's being used in that now, but like comics don't use that enough unless it's like Spider-Man. And you know, you're just seeing like how confident Robin is in his movements, especially considering like outside of the book everything that he's gone through. Like he's such a different character and so much more confident, and you see Batman being so much more trusting to trust Robin with this part of the plan, basically.
Oh yeah. Well, even that there's like really cute point later because like they're on the town trying to figure stuff out, and like there's someone with Killer Moth, and they hear about it on the way, and Tim's like, I want that guy.
Yes.
And Batman's like, okay, but also Tim's like, I'm a big boy now. I can take it. And I thought that was really cute, like because you get this point like because the whole Batman and Robin part is like the subplot of this.
Yeah.
Right? But it's still like a very integral part because you get this really nice kind of background. Because like at the time, Batman's like, okay, I'm gonna leave him to his own thing. I'm gonna work on the next step of this, like figuring out what happened to these supervillains and if it's Harvey and whatever. And you see just like kind of Tim left to his own devices to fight Killer Moth, which is fun. Just nice little like back and forth.
Yeah, and I like that again, like the dialogue's just so good in this book. And like the inner dialogue with like Bruce when he's next to Tim and he's talking about how, I have a partner that, I may have pushed away in the past, but it's nice to have someone kind of just be your light and not just dwell in the darkness. Because like he respects him as an equal. And like when he's doing detective work, instead of, Batman just talking in his head, he's talking out loud. He's taking input. And like that's what I love to see. What was that?
So that's a big deal.
Oh.
Like, yeah. And I loved Harvey's like input there too, because he's looking at him while they're doing their own thing. And it's like, like as far as Batman and Nightwing, they were like too alike. They were like too in sync. But instead of being in sync, Tim and Batman are like complements. They just better one another.
Yeah.
And they flow together, but not so much like in sync, like they're just the same person, but just like the ways that they think complement one another. And even I like when Batman's like, because he says, am I as good as Nightwing? It's like, well, I think you could be even better.
Yeah, that was a cute
Which is
moment.
such a shame, too, because you think about the amount of, like, limelight Tim gets, which is not a lot, in comparison, I feel like, to the other Robins.
Yeah, I mean, you could thank the New 52 for that, so...
Yeah.
They kind of, like, assassinated his character a bit for years.
Elliot said, did you guys hear about the guy posing as Red Robin? He turned out to be a Tim fake. Elliot, no. No. So I guess we should talk a lot about like the big thing happening.
Yeah.
Because we have this mystery, like you said, about how like the villains are getting killed. They're getting killed with these two identical shots.
Right.
Which is only indicative of Two-Face's weapon, which is that double-barreled pistol. Or whatever. And so they're like, ooh, that's not good. We gotta figure that out. And they're trying to figure out, he also hires, what's his name? Jack Ryder.
No, Jason Bard.
Jason Bard.
Yeah.
There we go. I have the Wikipedia open, so I was confused. Okay, Jack Ryder's the newscaster guy. Okay, Jason Bard. So that's a character I've never seen before. I don't know if he's like around before this.
He was around.
But they made a big deal about him.
He was around a lot, like in the earlier years. I remember he was a police officer. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. I believe for a while it was flirted that he was a possible love interest for Barbara Gordon.
Oh.
And he got injured, so that's why he has the cane. But like now he's just like a private eye.
I really liked him. And I like the way they subtly put him in throughout.
Yeah, it was a nice like change of pace because like I love that Batman, like he realized in his case, he was like, I need someone that's out during the day. And it's not us. Like we operate at night. So he came to him not just like, I need your help. Like he came to him in a respectful manner and said, like, I respect your skills. You are one of the top detectives on my list. And, shout out to Ralph Dibny, who was name dropped, but Ralph Dibny was not available, obviously.
Right.
But not only did he come at him and respected his skills, but he didn't insult that he's a private investigator, and he was like, "I'm gonna pay you," and he gave him like a number that we don't see, and then I just like how Jason goes like, "This per month," and he goes per week, and he's just like, "Oh, okay."
And this is your first priority. You can still do your other things if you need to, but like this is it. He's like, don't worry about it. This lady I've been sleeping with, Wicked killed her husband. Here's all the evidence. You can go ahead and take her too. Which honestly felt like a Ralph Dibny move, but like CW Ralph Dibny.
You know,
So it made me laugh.
I've never seen the CW version.
I like him, but I probably like him because of Identity Crisis, not the whole thing, just the cute bit. So when he showed up, I was like, oh, that means we'll get Sue eventually. So I already fell in love with him without even him earning it. But he's kind of like a creepy detective guy in the CW. But yeah, very different. But this guy kind of reminded me of him. But yeah, I liked because like you see him early on and they throw him in with like the other like Gotham City like residents who are like, oh shit, Batman's back. This is great. And eventually see Jason. He's like at dinner. Like, little did Jason know, Batman being back would affect him more than he thought it would. But just as we figure out, just as Harvey turns back into Toothface. I keep saying Tooth. Oh my god, it's really embarrassing.
There's probably someone named Two-Face.
I'm sure there is. But yeah, just as Harvey turns back into Two-Face, our boy Jason, like, is talking to Orca's husband, and gets shot at by Tallyman. And we're like, whoa, no. It's bad news. Whoops.
Yeah, and they did a good job of illustrating that too, because like the way that they illustrated, they merely made it a vulnerable moment. Like,
oh yeah,
this wasn't one of those situations where he's like, okay, I could just Batman my way out of this. It's like, no, you're sir, you are in danger.
Yeah.
And there's a part where like Jason gets hit. And if anyone's coming late to this, they probably think Jason tied. But but Jason gets hit, and he gets hit in the head, and they write it realistic. Like, if you get hit in the head, like, there could be a chance that your vision's a little blurry after that.
Oh yeah, it totally is.
Yeah, and the art did such a good job of kind of showing what blurred vision looks like after you get hit, while he's still trying to rationally survive from getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it was just an intelligent way to script the fight, and the artist did a great job of making that a reality.
Oh yeah, and I love that moment before about when he's talking to Orca's husband, Terry, who talks about like their kind of relationship, which is really cute. Like, I feel like throughout this book, there's so many great character moments that I really, really enjoy. Like, in one other book would I learn this much about Orca's husband. Also, I want to learn more about Orca, because I've never heard of Orca ever in my life. But there's this woman, this thick lady, who looks like a killer whale, and I really need to know more about it. But even him was like, oh, I just fell in love with her, and like, I like thick women. I was just like, okay. Oh, most important part of this whole bit. So after he gets shot by Tallyman, he looks back up to him. He can't help, even at that moment, joking in his head and thinking about that song. Come, Mr. Tallyman. And it made me laugh. He's like, but this man, he does not have potassium in his hand. It's very
that was
cute.
good. And that's what brought charm to the character too.
Yeah, I like him. I want more of this guy.
Yeah, like, it did a good job of just respecting like a lot of what makes Gotham unique. Like, there was a beautiful exchange between Harvey Bullock and Batman, and like Batman just doesn't like Harvey Bullock, like,
which was hilarious.
and Harvey Bullock brought up a good point, and he's like, because he's like, I'm trying to do the right thing now, and he and he's like, you took a trip. He was like, what was that trip for? To find yourself, to reprioritize. Like, what were you doing on your your exile? And Batman literally just silently takes that and just says, we're good. From this point forward, we're good. And he's like, I would be a hypocrite if I didn't give you the same chance that I'm giving myself.
Oh, yeah. Well, and same chance he's giving Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
Too. Because, I mean, look at all the damage. Like, this other guy was just like a corrupt cop in the Gotham police force. But if you can give a second chance to Harvey Dent after being Two-Face for however long, like...
And not to mention Catwoman multiple times.
Well, we all know Catwoman doesn't count for Bruce. Catwoman never counts. Even during this, he's like, thinking about Selena. Like, oh, you.
That did stick out. I remember I saw that. I was like, she ain't thinking about you right now.
No, she busy. It's so good. But yeah, so like eventually, unfortunately, he does catch up to Two-Face. But by then, he's already figured out who the real killer is. But Harvey Dent's already gone.
Yeah.
Which is so sad.
Yeah, that's one thing that just really made me love how damaged the character is, because that single little doubt put Harvey right back on a spiral. And if he was doubted, if Batman didn't trust him, then does that mean that he doesn't trust himself? And then that Two-Face persona just came right back, and you just see this. You like, because it's like you were rooting for him.
I was. It just took that little bit.
Yeah, and it just shows how fragile anyone could be at any moment. Yeah. And like, you could be doing everything that's great, but if no one believes in you, then sometimes it's worth nothing. And it's such a good like analyst of so many like characters in this book, and you're sad to see what happened to Two-Face, and it could have been prevented if there was just a little bit of faith.
Yeah. I never thought I'd care this much about Two-Face. Like, I feel like I'm always gonna keep this in mind now, that like he was fine and he was doing the right thing.
Two-Face is like low-key one of my favorite Batman characters, because there's like a Nightwing arc later that involves Two-Face, and it's so good. It takes place when like Batman is dead from either like Batman RP or Final Crisis. Batman's dead. I don't know that the order of that is weird sometimes. Yeah, but like, and that's the thing with a lot of Batman villains, honestly, is a lot of them need help.
Yeah.
And some of them is just their intentions are good, but it's just they're so damaged that.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at Harley. I mean, so many of them have come to the other side. Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy. I'd argue Killer Croc, but that's only because of my personal connection to Roy
even
Harper.
Man-Bat,
Oh yeah.
And Man-Bat was never technically a bad guy. He was just a monster of his own creation.
Well, it's that poor help at Gotham or the Arkham Asylum. I don't think it's doing a great job.
Well, if anybody needs a job, because that's a hot topic, I'm sure Arkham is hiring.
Lord. So at the end, we figure out, this kind of bothered me a little bit.
Yeah, I know what you're about to talk about.
Because I didn't feel like it was a fun reveal. This whole time we had this detective work, trying to figure out who is who. And I love a whodunit. I love a mystery. I love a whodunit. I thrive on it. And I'm always running out of movies to watch. So if anyone has any recommendations, I will take them. But at the end, we find out it's Great White Shark because Orca's husband mentioned that they were kind of like looking at working for a different guy instead of penguin, but he's also a sea creature name. And that's basically how he figures it out, because he murdered everyone from Arkham Asylum by using the Tallyman. And I was real bummed out.
Yeah, because remember I said, like, I haven't read this story in years, but I was like, I remember really liking it. And I'm rereading it, because we're doing the show. And I'm rereading it, and it got to that part, and I was just like, I genuinely don't remember reading this section. I don't remember if there was any payoff.
You blocked out on purpose.
I feel like there was no payoff to this reveal.
No.
I don't think I've ever seen that character again going forward. Like, it was such a good, like, mystery story.
Yeah.
But the reveal was just someone you never heard, someone who had no interaction in the story up until that point.
Yes.
And not even like a way to like pin the crimes on them. Like, it was just one of those things where it's like Batman just comes in, it's like, I know you did it. And when I could prove it,
I'm just gonna tell Two-Face and let him come here. I'm like, that's not a Batman thing to say. Two-Face will murder him as long as the coin flips right. Like, what? I was so mad because I love the rest of it. Everything else wonderful. This reveal made me so sad.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's like the one kick in the gut the story delivers.
Couldn't have you made it? You should have made it somebody who already showed up, like Jamie Harper. What a surprise that would have been. I don't want it to be her, but that would have been neat and a surprise. Or, maybe the Mad Hatter didn't actually die. Or maybe it's Jason Bard or Killer Moth. I don't know. Just somebody.
Yeah, like I am like like I'm gonna have to Google if he ever appeared in anything afterwards or if this was followed up. And worst part is, if I find something that I read, I'm like, I just wiped this man from my memory, evidently.
I've never heard about this guy. He showed up and I was like, oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah, that.
I like these. I like the comments that are like, worst reveal than Identity Crisis.
Oh.
Worst reveal than Heroes in Crisis. Jaden, we don't bring up Heroes in Crisis in this house.
I'm honestly going to say for Identity Crisis, yes, because at least she was in the story.
That's true.
At least she was established that she could have been a suspect at one point.
Well, and same with Heroes in Crisis. As much as I don't agree with it. At least it was something. This is just like, we don't, like, they're, I don't know. They're like, shit, we didn't write the villain in. It could be this guy, I guess.
There's no clues that point to, there's no thought that points to the Great White Shark. Like,
who cares about this guy?
I've never heard of him.
He's just pale. He's not even a shark.
He got like shark teeth.
What's the point?
It's like a Dollar General king shark, basically.
Yes, absolutely. It's like that, like, knockoff animation studios that make like fake Kung Fu Panda movies. They made this one and they're like, well, we can't animate a shark, but we have the model over here. Well, let's make that guy really pale.
Oh, I like how we're just roasting this character.
I'm gonna hate him forever just because of this on principle. But it's okay. The rest of it is wonderful, and we get a wonderful ending unrelated to that with Batman and Tim Drake, which was beautiful. That was so sweet. Because this whole book, while he's trying to figure out what's happening, he's thinking about Tim's future. And even though I knew it was coming, he asked Tim if he can adopt him. And he's like, I know I can't make up for your dad, and then Tim hugs him. And it's real cute.
And that hesitating hand before he embraces him.
I can't think about it.
It's so good because, like, just again to paint the picture for Tim, like, Tim was going through it. Like, the beauty of Tim back then was that he had, a family he had to hide his secret identity from up to a point.
Yeah.
And, he really tried to have a normal life and the Robin life. But someone at DC just decided, like, we're going to mess with Tim Drake so much that he might have a mental breakdown. And they killed Superboy. They killed Spoiler. They killed his dad. Like, and the worst part is, like, his dad died, and then he had a stepmom at the time, and they just wrote her off. Like, before then, it was like, yeah, after the death of Jack Drake, she had a mental breakdown, and she's just like in a bed and like a coma or something, like, and never addressed again.
Thanks, DC. They were like, we gotta get rid of these people so this kid can get adopted. He can't be a Robin unless he gets adopted or dead.
Yeah, it was just one of those things.
He does both.
Like, how much can this character take without becoming like a villain in the next crisis?
Oh yeah. Well, it's such a sweet moment because you can tell, like, Tim has been very cheery this whole time, despite everything. Even when they go up against Scarecrow, he does very well for himself.
Yeah.
Even though facing this trauma, like, he's still holding it together pretty well. He's still making jokes, and we don't really see him break down or deal with any of that until right to the end when Bruce is like, can I adopt you? He's like, oh, I can't have a ward of the state anymore. That's not allowed. So the way I can do is by adopting you, and I don't have to. And then he just goes and hugs him. The waterworks. It was beautiful.
It was so good, and that kind of brings, like, his Red Robin run. Like, this book brings it so much more meaning because, like, when Batman was thought to be dead from Final Crisis, Tim was the only one that thought he was still alive, and people thought Tim just can't handle losing somebody else, and he's holding on to hope. And, like, no one believed him, and he was the only one that believed that Bruce Wayne was alive. And this comic just really just kind of shows how much that meant to him. And like, when they were fighting Scarecrow and they were fighting their fears, and Superboy Prime showed up because that was the one who took Connor away from him.
Yeah.
And the scene afterwards where, like, Batman is like telling him he did a great job conquering his fears, and Tim said something along the lines, he was like, I've already lost everyone I cared about. There's nothing else I have to fear anymore. And it just kind of,
he still says it so positively. It's just like,
yeah, like, he's you could tell he's just kind of normalized the world he's in, and it's just like, no, you're still so young. You're not even an adult yet.
and that's accurate, because I feel like as somebody who's lost a lot of people, it's a natural response to deal with it with very matter-of-fact statements and humor. But that was good. So before we get to hang out with the chat time, we got to give this rating out of 10. Man, go ahead.
No. You go first this time. You go first. I always go first. You go first.
It's hard. Because when we start talking, this is what happens. Once I start talking about it and I get in depth, it changes my mind. Because if you had asked me at the beginning of this, I'd be like, oh, I think it's a 7. It's very good. I think it delivered very well. But the more we talked about it, the more I want to lean towards an 8, just because I think it delivered some really great character moments that you don't get to see a lot in comics. Honestly. Like, newer comics, I feel like it's more about the overarching story or action and less about these really well done character moments for everyone. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to say 8.
Okay.
I think, or 7.5. One of those.
In my head, I was going with an 8.5. it lost a point, like a whole point, just for Great White Shark. Great
Oh
White
yeah.
Shark is literally a -1.
If they had made a cool reveal, 10 out of 10. No question.
Yeah, but like it's such a good like character journey
Yeah.
that some books really lose focus on or are kind of like overhyped, like where the team has to tell you that they're examining the character. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah, I noticed that like that's a lot of advertisers now. It's like, well, this is the deconstruction of someone, and like they go full in depth of how they're gonna like examine a character. But it's it's a reminder of everything that you love about Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
The simplicity of just having Commissioner Gordon there, the the impact that Batman and Robin have on this city, the relationship between Batman and Robin, Batman struggling with his emotions
Yeah.
and not necessarily being tortured, but just
Just
his over
thinking through them.
yeah. And it's something that I would recommend to like say like people are kind of new to comics and they want a Batman story that's not like a heavy, say, Grant Morrison trip because you got to prepare someone for a Grant
Oh Lord,
Morrison trip,
yes.
or it's not like focused on like a big crossover event, or
Mm-hmm.
you need to know like continuity. Like this is a Batman story that gets the mechanics of what makes these characters work and
Mm-hmm.
why we love these characters.
Yeah, and I think it's fairly new reader friendly. And I agree. I think you made a good point that maybe like think about it more. That like a lot of the essential Batman books are a lot. They're very good, but it can be a lot to take in. And maybe not necessarily give you a lot of the Batman character. It gives you like not like the inner thoughts or feelings of Batman and other people in Gotham. I agree that like this it was nice to see Gotham cheer for him to be back because I don't get a lot of that. It's more like Batman exists and Gotham exists, but I don't see them intersect a lot
Yeah.
as far as like what the people think about Batman. You know,
Yeah, because
it's just nice.
with the right writer, Gotham is its own character. Like,
Yeah, basically.
and Metropolis is its own character, and dorky old Barry Allen and Central City. Like Central City loves the Flash.
Oh
They're
yeah.
they're their own characters, and I think that's the what makes some of those characters so strong is because the world they live in isn't just a world to protect. That world is breathing, and the reader can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same with Metropolis and like other cities. It's nice to see this for Gotham.
Yeah.
So, great recommendation. I'm definitely going to recommend this to a lot of people. I'm going to buy the deluxe now too because I need to have it.
Yeah, I
Because
think I
I
need
just
the
read it.
deluxe
I read
too.
on DC Universe. But yeah, I like this a lot. I need the deluxe. So catching up, someone at DC has an unhealthy obsession with messing with fan favorite characters who were doing pretty well at the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
true. Meow Neon asks, whose voices are in your brain when you guys are reading this? I don't think I have any.
I mean, not to be that guy, but Kevin Conroy Batman speaks in my
Yeah.
head when I read the dialogue. So, um, like I just have such an attachment to, you know, the DC animated universe where if a character matches that, that's pretty much their voice in my head.
Man, that's such a good. Uh, the cartoons do so much for DC.
Oh yeah.
So a couple of ratings. A lot of people came pretty close, 7 out of 10. It's a fun entry point into Batman, but it's a Batman story for everyone. And does a fun job of scaling the dichotomy of different characters that aren't Batman. I agree. I feel like Phil knows what I like. I feel like he's got it down to a science. He's just like, no, this is gonna
No, okay. So
do
the
it.
first two recommendations, I was coming after your bleeding Roy Harper heart. So,
Oh boy.
but like I felt like, oh, if you love Roy Harper, these have to be Roy Harper essentials for you. Like these need to be read. So, but this one came from just us casually talking,
Yeah.
and next thing you know, like this story was just here, and it was fun to revisit. Like it's a great story for new readers, but it's also fun to revisit because it kind of just reminds you what you love about
Yeah, absolutely.
these characters.
It was a nice self-contained story. It wasn't
Yeah.
overcomplicated. It just is what it is. I think that's just nice. Raphael wanted to say that he did not find the Grant Morrison run complicated. That you don't need to know its Silver Age characters. That Sailor Moon in the background reminded me that the new Netflix movie is out soon. Yes,
Oh,
it
I'm excited.
is.
I'm excited.
They break out the Sailor Jupiter cosplay for that. So excited. Reaper says, hi, Maddie and Mr. Shazam. I like that they're calling you Mr. Shazam. Quite enjoy this run. I like how you're doing lesser known stories. I do too. That's fun.
Yeah, because, like DC comes out with that recommended reading thing every year. And a lot of the times it's the same books,
Oh,
and
always.
those books, they deserve their spot there. That's not up for debate. Some may be controversial picks in your eyes, but controversy sometimes is the best thing for a book. It gets people talking, and that means it made an impact to this day. Hopefully, Heroes in Crisis isn't one of those books, but like the beauty about like really diving into some characters is just finding like some hidden gems, and like they end up just shining brighter in your collection because then say you have someone over in a pre-pandemic world, or say you're at the comic shop and someone's asking you like, yo, what's a good insert character here, and it's just like a refreshing feeling to say that you could recommend something that isn't on like the must read list, but it still has the same impact as a must read.
Oh, yeah. Like, I know for some people, I think we had someone on the comments once who said that like one of their favorite Batman stories was not a Batman story, it was Batman in Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman. Because you had this really interesting side of Batman where he had to fight Wonder Woman because she wasn't following the type of law that he set down. She had to follow the Mascaran law. And I think that's a very interesting one. Those kind of situations, it's those characters in other books that get missed a lot that are very interesting and I come back to. And just like Detective Comics, that's my favorite Batman book. Still. Because it's not about him. It's about his family. And that's what I want. I want Batman plus his family. I want them annoying him about things. Like, that's what I want. Oh, Gabriella, welcome. Hi. Hey guys, think about jumping into Batman Rebirth. What do you guys think? I think do it. But also, I really recommend Detective Comics Rebirth, personally.
That's what I was thinking. Like, Detective Comics Rebirth is so good in my opinion.
Good.
And Batman Rebirth, it's not for everyone. But the problem is you don't know if it's for everyone until you tried it.
Yeah. There's some good bits in there.
Yeah.
Like really good. But yeah, I agree. Tom King's not for everybody.
Yeah. Like if I were saying like me personally, like if I'm saying like me personally, like, hey, I'm thinking of picking up this book, I would probably like hesitate recommending it because it starts off strong. But this was supposed to be 100 comic run.
Yeah.
And at many points it feels really stretched out to try to reach that number. And it's not one of my recommendations for like go-to Batman, because this is a writer that is taking Batman and breaking him down piece by piece,
Because that's
and
what
then
he does.
slowly, yeah, because that's what he does.
He's like, how can I give this man some mental illness he doesn't know how to deal with? Well, ooh, can he hit one of his sons? Can we throw that in there? That'd be cool. I say this as a fan, as a complicated fan.
Yeah, like it's a really hard recommendation for me. Like, and I know like sometimes we joke about like Tom King, but Tom King is where he is today because he, because of his accomplishments. Like we can talk about Heroes in Crisis all we want, but Vision has had
so good,
an amazing impact to this day. This book is still talked about. Marvel
Mr. Miracle.
Yeah, like I believe he worked. He worked on Grayson, and Grayson was received very well. I keep getting told that if I love Kyle Rayner, I need to read Omega Man. And
that's on my list too.
It's on my list. Like I want to read it, but like I know Tom King gets a lot of flack for some of the other books that were a bit more controversial, but the man is obviously good at what he does if he keeps getting the projects that he's getting. Or either that or he's just amazing at interviews and pitches.
Oh yeah, I think he's incredibly talented. And I think a lot of it stems from his own trauma working in the intelligence field, which is a field where you deal with some really heavy stuff and you don't get the mental help you need because you literally can't or you get fired. So, but Gabriella, I do recommend, I know that you're starting to dig into Rebirth stuff. I super recommend Superman. Not to make a pun on that. That was by accident. Superman Rebirth I really liked. Super Sons is 10 out of 10. Super Sons is so good.
Yeah, it's good.
But Detective Comics for sure. So we've got some recommendations of Batman the Cult. I haven't heard of that, but I like cults.
I've heard of that one, but I haven't read that one. That's the lovely thing with Batman. Like, there's always a book you haven't heard of.
It looks cool. Ooh. We might have to read it. That looks cool. It came out in 1988. It's only 4 issues.
I might have to look it up after this.
Do you guys have a favorite DC era? 2004 to 2011 has been it for me for general mainstream continuity.
That's a tricky question because it almost depends on what character. Because throughout DC's history, there's been like, this character's doing great, but this character is not doing great.
Yeah.
If I were to like to stick with just Batman, honestly, like I know this isn't like the most popular opinion, but the whole Nightfall to Night's End era, a story as a whole really breaks down what makes Batman Batman. And that they did such a good job of showing why Bruce Wayne is Batman, and just putting anyone else's Batman doesn't work. Even though Dick Grayson would be a wonderful Batman, and I'm still down for that.
Listen, I'm still team Jason Todd eventually becomes Batman.
Oh no, that's terrifying.
Oh no, I have reasons. And
oh God, I would move.
I know it's not because of the general. I just feel like there's something about the son that doesn't want that right away, because I think Dick Grayson does want that, and I think Damian wants it, but I think having someone that doesn't idealize it, that feels like they have to, because that's what they owe that to their like mentor, to their father figure, to the city. There's something really beautiful about that. I'd like to see an older Jason Todd feel like he has to take up the mantle. And I feel like he'd be more likely to really adhere to what Batman won it because he feels like he wants to honor it. I know it's a weird feel. I think that happens a lot in books, so that's what I want to see. Reformed Jason.
Jason, love or hate his methods, Jason makes for great stories.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know how I feel about Lobdell, but like, there's a lot I appreciated from that. I'm a Red and the Outlaws fan. I won't buy them anymore, except for pre-owned because I don't support him. But I liked all that stuff. Jane also recommended Batman: A Lonely Place of Dying. I haven't heard that either.
That is so good. It's such a good story. They just came out with a deluxe edition that comes with Batman, was it Batman, A Death in the Family, and A Lonely Place to Die, all collected.
Ooh, I want it. Well, shit, we might add just a ton of Batman to this year.
It's such a good one. I need to buy that, but I got to finish some other books before I can buy that one.
Batman Eternal is one of my all-time faves. It's an easy jumping on point. I do have that omnibus downstairs. I'm not sure why I have it. If we read it for Nearman or not. If we did and I forgot about all of it, I'm going to feel really bad. But I do have that omnibus. Is there a Tom King book where a character doesn't talk about or commit suicide? Actually, I don't know. I really don't know. And maybe that says something.
Maybe.
Whoops. Superman Up and Away is the least talked about with regards to good Tom King books.
I've heard good things about that one.
And I will say that even though I dog on Tom King a lot, I still really, really like his writing. So, well, I'm going to read this too then, because I love Superman. I fought it for a long time. But then it got me. Joe, tell your daughter that too. I know she's watching, but tell her that. Listen, I was like, I'll never read Superman. And now I'm a super Superman fan.
What are you doing here?
Yay!
It's Gracie.
Hi, Gracie. She's so serious. She's very comfortable in front of the camera.
Oh, I do that to her a lot on Twitch. She's used to that.
So rare to see Jason not be an a-hole as well regarding cult. Oh, okay. I want to read that. Maybe I'll add that to next month because I want to read it. Contagion, Cataclysm, and No Man's Land are pretty good runs as well. Possibly less divisive than Nightfall. I haven't read either.
They're like, back to that era question, it's just like Nightfall up until that point, like, I don't even remember like the last story before it like got out of hand, but like Batman just had such good continuous stories that just led into one another. And like, I liked that Batman had so many books back then that they used to have like the little bat symbol with the number, because they would come out on a weekly basis. There was a Batman book, so it would literally tell you the order and what to read the books.
Yeah.
And there is a Batman crossover called Batman Legacy, and he's stopping Ra's al Ghul from doing Ra's al Ghul things. Pretty much, like, it's like a virus or something. But the beauty of that, there's two things that just make that one of my favorite comic book moments ever. Detective Comics number 700, in my opinion, even though it's part one for the story.
Wow, even have the number down.
Oh, it's iconic for me, honestly, because it is.
Open my DC Universe account while you're talking about it.
Like, it's the best single issue, even though it's a part one. It's one of my favorite single issues I ever read growing up.
Okay.
Like, it checks all the boxes for what I wanted in a comic book back then. Like, you have, like, the book literally just starts off with Batman, Robin, and Nightwing. And this is Nightwing in the blue and black, but he has that really long ponytail.
Love
and it. Just almost there to the perfect costume.
Yeah.
And it starts off, and they're trying to like find Ra's al Ghul, and the action is amped up, but it doesn't lose the story. Like Batman, Robin, and Nightwing, they're getting shot at. Batman and Robin jump down like this mine shaft or well. Nightwing gets shot in the side, and he gets split up from them. And it's just this story of like Batman and Robin trying to survive this. Next, water's coming down. They might drown. Batman and Robin barely escape. Nightwing finds Ra's al Ghul before Batman. So it's Nightwing versus Ra's al Ghul, and Nightwing literally has his shirt ripped off so that he can like put some pressure on the bullet wound. And he's fighting Ra's al Ghul for freaking batarang, and then Ra's al Ghul punches him in the bullet wound. And it's just like there's so much going on, but like little me is just like, this is amazing. And I'm like, I need the rest of these. And it leads to like Batman and Raj fighting, and then you find out who Raj's bodyguard is, and it's freaking Bane, who hasn't been seen since the Nightfall thing. And he's like, you and I are gonna have our rematch, and you're just like, I need it. I need all of it. Like, it's the best pitch to like a crossover event I've ever seen.
Well, I just added it to my. I love the DC Universe app. I really do. But I just added it in so I could read it. And I didn't realize it was Chuck Dixon. I love Chuck Dixon.
Yeah, like Chuck Dixon was so good. And I think the artist's name was Graham Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, one of my favorite Batman artists of all time.
Yeah.
Like, their art was their money, like, they were worth every single money their contract got just on that one issue alone. Like, it was the perfect mix.
I'm going to dig into this. Oh, I'm so excited. We're so excited. Well, a little bit over time, but do you want to come on again next month?
It's as long as you guys will have me.
Now we just got to think about something. I kind of want to read. I want to read Batman the Cult, but it's only 4 issues. I wonder if we should read something else too.
I feel like we should do something extremely different.
Oh, that's true. Maybe we should do. Would you like to read? I know that you're big into DC. Would you like to read like a non-big 2?
Sure.
Oh, hey, do you want to read Sweet Tooth?
Never read it.
Because the show's coming out.
Okay. I've heard good things. Let's
do it, because I haven't read it either. I'll bring on an actual older reader who's read Sweet Tooth to talk about it with us. Okay, let's do that.
Okay, I'm down.
Awesome. Okay, before we're done, you guys, I need to show you guys Phil's funny photos from Pokémon Snap.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
I almost did too. I was going to end it. But listen, Phil's been playing Pokémon Snap. I've been playing Pokémon Snap. But Phil does this thing where he adds in quotes from the character Nick Miller from New Girl onto his pictures from Pokémon Snap and then uploads them. Which I really love. Oh, I have this comment still up. That doesn't help this. Whoops. But he's been posting on his Twitter, which is also in the description. But I've really been enjoying it. And this may not be fun to the rest of you guys unless you're playing Pokemon Snap or watch New Girl, but I really like it. And I need to share that. Oh, also, what's important, DC fans, I showed Phil before the show, but there's a certain character. What is Pokemon Snap? Hayden, listen. You're in the Pokemon world, okay? And you take pictures of them for points. The end. And sometimes, see the picture you want, you throw apples at them, which is kind of mean. But whatever.
Art. It's for art.
You just take pictures of them. It's the dream game.
It's my comfort game.
Oh, it's the best. It's so relaxing. Okay, more important, everyone. DC fans. This is big for me. But Roy Harper's daughter. Oh, that's not that. Leanne Harper is alive, and she looks very cool now. The end. That's all my information. But she's going to be in Catwoman, and that's very exciting for me today. That's why.
I just learned about it before we started too. I have so many questions.
I do
so
too.
many questions.
Very confused. I don't understand. Roy Harper's also getting powers, I guess.
More questions.
I don't know what's happening. I guess I'll find out in June. I don't know. Also, who's the new White Lantern? I guess. I don't know. Someone's a new White Lantern or Black Lantern. I don't know which one it is.
Meanwhile, I'm like, I hope Kyle Rayner's book wins that contest.
Me too. How dare DC? And also, don't put a book in like the Robins that you know is gonna like get published anyways.
I don't like the idea of the contest, especially considering like, you know, pitches get approved and denied all the time. But to kind of put like, hey, you may have a job in the future, but we're going to put it in the hands of random polls.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I don't like seeing the creators kind of have to battle each other to maybe have a job.
If those of you who don't know, if in case you're not on social, but DC was doing a thing on all of its socials where you could vote. It almost like had a March Madness deal where you voted for like which book you wanted to see happen from DC, and it gave all sorts of options, great options. Like I think there's like a Blue Beetle book as far as like Ted Cord, and then there's like Robins and a Kyle Rayner book, and like a queer superhero book, and all this different stuff. But like, yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, like based on the options left, I would love to see Kyle Rayner just do Kyle Rayner things. And it's just weird having a Robins book in there, considering that story could literally be told in the millions of Batman books that are out right now.
Yeah. Well, and like a lot of people were like writing about how it's kind of weird because really that's a book that's going to sell regardless.
Yeah.
You could do that book. That's fine. But some of the other ones, like, I just wanted all those books. I wanted all those fun books. I was like, why can't I just have all of them?
Yeah, DC. Like the Zatanna book sounded really good.
Oh, yes, we are overdue.
Like Blue Beetle. You read the Paul Dini Zatanna run, right?
No, actually.
Oh, you need to read that.
I know.
You need to read it.
I've never read a Zatanna only book.
We're gonna have to add that on one day.
Okay.
if I'm like still invited to the show.
You're still invited. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up because I need to watch the latest Legends of Tomorrow episode. But thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Phil, for hanging out with me again.
It's always a pleasure.
It's nice to have a little like monthly friend date, but online every month.
Yeah, and it's live.
Yeah. Everybody else gets to watch us hang out. It's great. Some guy paid me $5 to see my nose scrunch. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, easiest $5 you
made. Get all of Phil's info in the description. Check him out on Twitch. If you're seeing this video later, please comment down below what you thought about Batman Face to Face. Oh, sorry. Hayden asked what the next old or new reader is. We'll be back next week with Monster. It was supposed to be the last video of last month, but things got moved around. So Tina, aka White Cat Cosplay, is going to be here, and my friend Alex, aka Heckin' Sleepy on Twitch. We'll be talking about Monster then. And then the last week of the month, I'm pretty sure Invincible won the Patreon vote. So I think Omar and Dan are coming on to talk about Invincible, which I'm excited about because I inhaled that show. It's very good. But yeah, so thank you, everybody. Hope you have a good night. Stay safe. Take care of mental health if you can. Play Pokémon Snap.